Welcome to The Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This time on The Kindness Project, pointless alarms, specialist teas, and we have part 2 of our interview with Rebecca Robbins from Interbrand.
Welcome, my friends, to The Kindness Project. I am joined by a girl who has just burnt herself in a Lady Grey. It's Charlotte Dames. How you doing, Charlotte?
I'm joined by a man who has an irrelevant 5:40 alarm on his watch. It's Chris Dames.
Yeah, I don't know why I've got a 5:40 p.m. alarm on my watch. Maybe that's the time I need to sort of take my eyes away from the laptop and focus on something else.
Maybe it's the time you set up the watch.
Maybe, that's true. So what is a Lady Grey? Because I still don't know. You've been drinking Lady Grey tea for about
A
6
good
months.
No, I haven't had Lady Grey for 6 months.
Where did you find out about Lady Grey and what is it?
So, I like Earl Grey. I love a good Earl Grey. I have for about a year now. And then Mum...
I'm glad you've not lost connection to your working class roots. Go on.
And Mum spotted this Lady Grey discounted on the...
Oh, well, no, hold on. We're going back to the working class roots.
Discounted. And it's like an Earl Grey, but it's got like orangey, citrusy hints.
Oh, very nice. Can I have a little taste?
Sure, but it's still piping hot.
So we're going to have a live Lady Grey tea review. Let's have a
Piping
taste
hot,
there.
I'd be careful.
Oh, it is hot.
Yeah.
It is hot. I know. I'd see why you've burnt yourself in a Lady Grey now. Let me have a little taste. Ooh, smells orangey.
Yeah, I know. I always love the smell of oranges. Makes me feel better.
Yeah, it's quite subtle, isn't it, the taste, but nice. I think we've missed our vocation in life. We should do, instead of a podcast where we interview awesome people, maybe we should have a little
Tea tasting.
Tea review section, I don't know.
That's what we replace kindness news with. Today on tea tasting. Delicious.
Tea tasting with Chris and Charlotte. What is your favourite, and this isn't question of the podcast, by the way, but what is your favourite hot drink apart from tea? You like hot chocolate, don't you?
Love a good hot chocolate.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm still a coffee man, but problem is, I've got used to proper coffee now, and every time I go back to instant, it doesn't taste the same. It's just not good. Can you let our listeners know where they can get in touch with us?
Online.
Online?
Yeah. Well, we have a Twitter.
What is this online thing you speak
on
of?
the interwebby.
What is this online thing?
Well, we have a Twitter, and we're at All Our Kindness. And on Facebook, if you just search The Kindness Project in the bar, put the spaces in, because I think there's another one. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea what
We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. You can find us on the web, and now download our 80-odd episodes of amazing interviews and content where we talk all things good in the world.
Yes.
You can do all that, and you can do all that at www.thekindnessproject.co.uk, and you can email us at
Ola@thekindnessproject.co.uk.
just put an H at the start, we'll get it to us somewhere. Yeah, it's all good. And what we do every week, if you're a new listener, and if you are, have a look at the back catalogue. There's some awesome stuff in there.
I'd recommend listening from the start. You will progressively hear the shambolic nonsense again. Better, worse, depends on your...
Well, the shambolic nonsense goes in fits and starts. Can I have a T-shirt as part of the Kindness Project merch, which you can get now?
Yes.
That just says #shambolic nonsense. Can I have one of them?
Yeah,
Can you design me one of them?
I still want to design a mug that just says "'Tis the end" at the bottom.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So, but every single... Oh, that's Russell updating the Kindness Project right now. Every single podcast, we have a question called Question of the Podcast.
I think we already mentioned this, Dad.
We haven't said what the question of the podcast is, though, have we? No. So, this week's question of the podcast was inspired by me walking to work and thinking of a song. And it's an old TV theme by a comedy duo called Morecambe and Wise.
Oh, this.
And there's a song called Bring Me Sunshine that used to be the theme tune for the show. And not only is it a really good track, it's also one of the happiest songs I know and never fails to make me smile. So today's question of the podcast is, what song never ever fails to make you smile? How about you, Charlotte? What song never ever fails to make you smile?
Well, see, I like sad songs. So
Do they make you smile?
they
though?
make me smile because I'm like,
In a
oh my God.
melancholic way.
Yeah, just
I
like,
smile with melancholy.
oh my God.
That is an amazing word, isn't it? Melancholy. It's almost as good as collywobbles. Any word with collie in is quite
Today
true.
I'm feeling melancholic.
I'm
I'm coming down with melancholy.
I've got the collywobbles and I'm feeling melancholic.
Oh, what song do I not listen to that much that always makes me smile? Because there's
Yeah, you
loads
don't
of...
want to listen to it too often, otherwise it loses it.
There's a song by Lucy Spraggan called The Postman.
Okay.
And I don't listen to it that much anymore, but I used to listen to it all the time. And it's like a really sad song because, like, it's about how the husband has to go to war, but he talks about how, but it's like he's constantly sending her letters, and he sends her a letter every week, and then one day the postman turns up and he gives her a letter that her husband's died.
What's happy about that?
But there's a whole bit right at the end, and the husband's final letter says to the wife, "It doesn't matter that I've died. Move on, find someone else to love. Know that I will always love you, even when I'm gone." And it's just like,
Oh, that is sad though. That is so super sad. Why does that make you smile? Just because of the memory of the...
yeah, it just it makes me.
You know what though? I know we've spoken about this on the podcast before, but sometimes those tragic stories, number one, make you realise how lucky you are, and number two, a pure love like that
I think
from a husband to a wife is quite
I quite
romantic,
like.
isn't it?
I quite like a bit of angst because.
No, really?
Oh no, really? Because
New
no,
news listeners, Charlotte knows a bit of teen angst.
but no, because like if they're so sad now, imagine how happy they must have been for it all to have changed so much.
You know what? Completely with you on that. I absolutely love that. Have you got a pure happy song as opposed to a sad song that makes you happy?
Does anyone know Being Alive? Because probably not, but it's about this guy and he's trying to figure out why he's alone, and it turns out it's because he doesn't want to let people in because he feels guarded about his emotions, and he knows that if he falls in love, I think that's what the song's about. That's how I interpret it anyway. If he falls in love, then he's gonna have to let someone in. He's gonna have to be vulnerable with someone. He's going to have to let them support him the same way that he will support them. And
you know what I've realised today, Charlotte? I've realised you're a lot deeper than me. You've gone for two songs that are that have compelling narratives about just life and the fact that it can be nuanced and tragic. And I've gone for a song about sunshine. I think my life is just simple like that. Just bring me sunshine. Anyway, listeners, we'd like to know your top song that makes you happy. Let us know at on Twitter, Facebook, and all that sort of stuff.
And all that jazz.
All that jazz. Or if there's a jazz song that makes you happy, that would be even better.
No, I mean all that jazz. It's a good song.
It is a good song.
Yeah.
Shall we get on to the show?
Yes.
So today we've got our second part of our interview with Rebecca Robbins. Now, if you remember from last week, Rebecca was introduced to us by a lady called Pinky Laney, who was an amazing lady who runs lists of kind leaders. And I asked Pinky who should I speak to, and she said, "You can have a chat with Rebecca."
Yep.
Because she is amazingly kind, as well as being quite a high-powered business leader in the branding agency Interbrand. So we talk about business, we talk about kindness, we talk about how the two are connected. We talk about philosophy, and I also ask some questions of the podcast. Would you like to
Ooh,
listen?
my favourite bit.
What inspires you?
Oh, amplify more on that in general.
What inspires you? Oh, let's get a bit more. So that was a very general question.
That was a big
You know what? I'm going to try again.
That was like a big Stephen Hawking
I'm going down. We've only got for half an hour, haven't we? So I better really filter that one. What inspires you working with the people you work with in your academy?
So
I've got a list of 20 of those questions. By the way, we're going to be here for 4 hours.
We're going to be for a very long time. Get the Fortnum and raisins round for afternoon tea. The biggest thing is, I think over time. So I don't have do I have a learning background? It's interesting. Again, my deep love of my time at Cambridge, and I very much thrived on a world where the value of deep focus and deep thinking, and how you can disappear back down rabbit holes within what you do at university, I think is phenomenal. Yeah. But I threw myself into the commercial world really quickly, found the world of brands, brand consulting, and loved it. And then this world of learning and what we do here, and what I'm taking forward with the Interbrand Academy now, kind of found me. And I think maybe it found me because there's a word that I love at the moment that I think is really sort of prescient, if not so many other things, and it's curiosity. Yeah. I've recently read the book by Alberto Manguel and it's called Curiosity.
Okay, cool.
There's an amazing article in Harvard Business Review that I read recently by a Harvard professor called Francesca Gino, all on curiosity. But that's the heart of actually, we never stop learning in life.
Agreed.
We never stop learning. And I think why it's so important now, and I think we're working, not only are we working in terms of the Interbrand Academy for our own people, but we're working with a lot of clients on huge learning programs. Yeah. How can we help them transform culturally their organisations? How can we make sure that their future of talent, is continues to be inspired and motivated and engaged? So that excites me, because actually we are only, as people often talk to me about your writing, and they say, what's your favourite thing you've ever written? And often it's the most recent thing, because actually you're constantly learning. Yeah, agreed. You're constantly sharpening your skills.
And everybody you speak to changes your perspective a tiny little bit, that allows you to have a bit more of an insight, doesn't it? That's why I love doing this, because we get to speak to amazing people doing amazing things. And number one, it's really motivational for me, because I get to come out of these meetings. I've got 2 today, so I'm going to be super happy tonight. Come out of these interviews with a new perspective, but also a new reassurance that there are amazing people doing amazing things, but you've just got to look. You've just got to look a bit deeper and not superficially take for granted what's going out there in the world.
And I think again, what I love about what you're doing, because yes, it's wonderful being on this podcast, and I do that also for every voice in our business. I do that for every person out there that you encounter every day who's doing amazing things. There's a gentleman downstairs, Ralph. He's on our reception every morning, and he meets every single person with the most wonderful smile. And that's a small touch point in somebody's day. But that means a lot.
Makes a difference, actually.
And every single thing that we do, again, that can make or break an experience or a situation, whether it's as a brand and a business or as an individual.
Has an impact, has a huge impact. Tell me a story about the work you've done with the Academy that you're really proud of.
So I think one of the things that I mentioned earlier on, I run one of my favourite programmes is Masterclass.
Right, so talk to me about the agenda for Masterclass then. So
I can't reveal all of it.
No, let's go. Just broadly, what subjects does it cover?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do is we have a mix of inside faculty and outside faculty. So, and I run it in a different location every time. So with 17 offices, I take Masterclass to Tokyo, Berlin, Milan, London.
Well, you are sharing your Tokyo travel tips with me later, right? I need to know.
I have to say, when we talk about culture, it's one of my favourite cities in the world. Japan is one of my favourite countries in the world, because you talk about it. Any any culture that has an appreciation and the love of nature and
Yeah.
just appreciating the beauty of cherry blossom
Yeah.
or snow,
Yeah.
it tells you
It's a
lot.
massive dichotomy, isn't it? So it's
Absolutely.
so technologically advanced, and then you've got the element of nature there, and we're looking forward to both.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that blend of tradition and innovation.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
who we are as human beings.
Tell me
right?
tell me the story.
So
What?
masterclass,
Yeah,
let me tell you.
agenda.
So we're bringing the next one to Boston, which
Yeah.
is phenomenal. And I have a mix of faculty across our business who will be teaching on that. And and again, we have a polymathic business, so we have an agenda that touches absolutely everything that we do.
Gotcha.
We challenge, we provoke, we have debate, we have workshops, we have a really interactive and provocative session every single day, which is pretty much, and again, they don't get much sleep. You come on one of my masterclasses and it's one of those.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love about it is that we build a community in the process. These are people that they're working in Tokyo and they're working in Boston, they're working in Mexico, they're working in New York, and they get to meet each other. Sometimes
Yeah,
for the
there's a
first
community
time.
there, isn't
so
there?
We're building a community, which
Yeah,
is phenomenal.
yeah.
And we have been so grateful to have partnerships with some phenomenal universities. We partnered with UCL in London a little while ago, which was a phenomenal experience. We're partnering with the best global brand very shortly. We've got speakers coming in from Harvard as well. So again, we're trying to build here Academy as part of a really powerful ecosystem.
Yes.
And again, connecting into change for good. So
Yeah.
I can't reveal what the brief is quite yet for this. We are days away from
Super
running
close,
it. But it's
yeah.
around actually brands, culture and change for good, and how
Amazing.
we bring our people together to help do that.
Amazing. So not all businesses lead with kindness.
Yeah.
Why don't you think that is?
Oh, that's a great question. The biggest thing, the biggest challenge I think is why don't they? And actually, what historical behaviours do we need to unpick for it to change? And I think also there are huge variances by industry and sector sometimes.
Yeah, agreed.
Often it comes down to, again, the biggest learnings we have, for the past almost 20 years, we've been valuing the top 100 most valuable brands in the world. And we see a lot, therefore, and we do that, by the way, I stress, this is something, we invented brand valuation, so we invest in this and give it almost back to the world. But over that time, obviously, we do this based, by the way, on businesses that have their financial data published.
Yeah,
We can't do it on private businesses. But we get to see what's going on inside businesses and the culture and what's happening. And great brands do begin from within. They do.
Sure.
They begin from within. They begin from strong cultures that have clarity around the brand purpose and what they're doing, real commitment, great governance in place, and also real responsiveness. So people feel empowered, committed, there's agility there to actually do things and change things.
Yeah.
And when that doesn't happen, that's when you don't see good stuff emerge.
So this is the interesting thing, isn't it? Because the top 100 brands are doing it, and that should be a beacon to encourage other businesses to do it. But how do we do that?
First of all, I think we need to keep talking about it and celebrating it.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, we talked earlier on, how do you render something that is seen as abstract, tangible?
Yeah.
Kindness is this otherworldly thing. Kindness is soft.
But
right?
I think you're right about the behaviour point. How do you encourage positive behaviours in your business that aren't only related to money, they're related to the fair treatment of people.
And I think again, if you do talk about behaviours, that's what we were talking earlier on. We've just done that across Interbrand.
Yeah.
And if you hold people accountable to behaviours, each other, ourselves, it really transforms things.
Interesting.
To the point where actually you don't even talk about them. It's just the way you do things around here.
Yeah.
We think about some of the best business. We think if I ask everyone listening to this right now, think about a brand that you love or a business and why you love it. That will often answer this question because there's something very human in the interaction that you have with that brand, whether it's a product or a company. That makes you keep going back to it because you feel reassured, you feel looked after, or you feel actually every time.
But it's emotional, isn't it?
Exactly. A lot of it's people to people.
Yeah. Now you've spoke before about how brands change the world. How can we use this influence to ensure that we're just doing better?
Well, first of all, that pull is coming. You're seeing it. I think with the generations coming through. That's what these amazing youngsters are all about.
You've seen again. I think there is a change in that, and certainly the younger people in our business, are telling us that every day. But the interesting thing is there's a lot of businesses that have popped up over the last 10 years that have a social purpose.
They do.
And their
Absolutely.
popularity has been based on that social purpose, haven't it?
Absolutely.
Does that change the perception of brands, do you
I think, I was, again, talking at an event the other day, and I said, actually, we will have exceeded when some of these words disappear from the dictionary.
Yeah.
When you think about the word sustainability, when
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yeah,
exist in the dictionary, we will have succeeded. And I think brands also need to be careful not to posit themselves. We've seen brands, come and go in terms of who started up almost on the basis purely of sustainability.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that should be standard to every business in the world. Your bigger purpose in terms of what you do and why you do it, and how that spins into change for good is another thing. There's a brand that we've been working with, one of the brands in our group, HMKM, a lovely brand in the space of luxury and fashion called Olivella.
Okay.
Now, if you buy a dress,
Yeah.
anything from the world of luxury and fashion,
Yeah.
through their platform, a certain proportion, depending on how much you spend, goes to education and learning for underprivileged
Love
women
it.
and girls in this world.
Absolutely
now,
love it.
how easy is that to do?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
crucially, when you make that purchase, it tells you how many girls you've helped,
Yeah.
where your money is going.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that brands need to remember: communicate with us in terms of how we are contributing to change.
Well, this is the
and
other.
how we can do
This
more
is the other
together.
interesting thing, and we have loads of conversations because we speak to charities, both big and small, in the podcast. So we've interviewed people who run sort of Age UK all the way down to a two-man charity. The husband and wife got full-time jobs and they sponsor a school in Africa for 300 kids. It's amazing stuff. And every time we talk to a charity, both big and small, the conversation about impact comes up. So how important do you think, when people are making positive change, it is to communicate the impact of that positive
Absolutely.
change?
If
Okay.
we're not doing that, then why are we?
Yeah.
And that has to drive what we do. That's
Yeah.
why I get quite cross sometimes, and when you're frustrated when you look at, campaigns around purpose that, are essentially campaign-led.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
what are
yeah.
we achieving with this? How are we achieving change for good? And that's why I also get excited about the bigger things that we can really do together.
Yeah.
But it has to be about impact.
It's got, and as you said, it's got to be authentic, because I think people see the cynical approach to that. That's quite transparent, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think the other thing we need to remember, if we started every day, you talked about, I love what you said, your journey here. I love thinking about the notion of, what did we each interrupt in each other's days to come and have this podcast? You had a walk here, I'd previously been having a conversation. But in those spaces between, in our days, how can we, even if it's one thing we do, change how we are with an individual?
Yeah.
Take the time to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Have a phone call instead of email.
Yeah,
What are
yeah.
the moments of human interaction
Yeah.
that we can influence? Actually pause, don't react badly.
Yeah.
How can we be more positive in the way that we deal with things? Can we
Rebecca's-
thank somebody rather than...
Smile.
Absolutely, that's right,
Smile.
exactly.
Yeah. And
Completely.
it can be that simple, can't
They're
it?
simple human things that, and again, that's what makes us human.
Yeah,
we don't
no, I
need
love
to
it.
fear, as long as we remember to be human, we don't need to fear the robot, the rise of the robot.
Yeah. So we're on the podcast. We do a thing called Question of the Podcast. So
Okay.
we are curious people, Charlotte and I. So it works really well. And these are non-kindness related questions.
Right.
And a few of them I'm going to ask you. Okay. So we've not planned for this, have we? But you'll be
Putting me under pressure
fine.
now,
You'll be
Chris.
fine. No, it's right. Well, honestly, it'd be great. It'd be amazing. And I'm going to start with a really easy one, but possibly one of our most contentious questions
Ooh.
we've ever asked.
Okay.
What's your favourite Muppet?
Oh, I haven't been asked that for a very long time.
Have you been asked it before? Because it went mad on the podcast. We got hundreds of answers on what's your favourite Muppet.
Wonderful.
What's your favourite Muppet?
Oh my goodness. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I honestly, can I pause on that one and come back to...
Of course you can.
Okay,
Of course you can.
thank you.
Okay, what's the most inspiring movie you've ever watched?
Oh, so many inspiring movies. I think a very moving movie, and again, I think it won, not because it won so many accolades, and also because it's quite unsung now. It's a movie called Cinema Paradiso, or Cinema Paradiso,
Okay.
we said it in Italian. And it's a fascinating story of an individual's trajectory, a little boy who grew up in Cefalù in Sicily, and his story of how he discovered, his love of cinema, and he went on to become a cinematographer.
Amazing.
World renowned, but the underlying theme behind it is, what the gain and the loss on a human perspective in terms of what he achieved of his life ambition, but did he lose things along the way, and the journey of the characters around him, how they helped shape his journey. It's just a very moving and deeply human
So that brings up just a side thought. How do you stay grounded when you're working with such big brands? How do you stay human when
the things that make I adore art, literature, love worlds of galleries and museums, losing myself. Music, I played the piano since I was 4, so I lose myself in music.
I'm a bit super excited about the Van Gogh at the Tate
just around the corner from us.
Yeah, I know. That's
I can recommend some places in Tokyo. There's another one for Tokyo.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm really looking forward to? There's one in Tokyo Bay, which is a light art exhibition.
Oh, wonderful.
And it looks amazing. Let me ask you another one. If you had a superhero name and a superhero power, what would it be?
Superhero. I think I'm going to be really pragmatic with that. I think a superhero power is kindness.
Yeah, okay.
I really think it is, and it should be.
Yeah.
I came out of some meetings yesterday, and people talked about kindness, energy, light, warmth, and you know what? I think they're pretty good superpowers that we should all
I agree. The most popular one we've had recently is one about the Great British Bake Off. So you're in the final of the Great British Bake Off. I know, well, so am I. You're in the final of the Great British Bake Off.
Oh.
You've got to do a showstopper. You can make anything you want. What would you make as your Great British Bake Off showstopper?
I have to say, my sister is the amazing patisserie chef. She is phenomenal, so I sort of defer to her on this. But for me, it would be anything dark chocolate.
Okay.
So I think some of the yes.
How about creative from a like imagery perspective? What would you?
From an imagery perspective, I have to go luxury because that's my default. So
Okay.
I think something inspired by one of the. I can see something sort of with a little bit of inspiration of Christian Dior.
Oh, excellent.
So I can see lots of flourishes and florals and beautiful decadence.
So I can think of. I'm a rubbish baker. I'm a rubbish cook. I can cook a mean omelette, but apart from that, I'm not great. But my image was a Russian dough cake with a different
love that.
Russian dough in a Russian dough in a Russian dough in a Russian dough, all with different flavours. I thought that was all right.
Okay, well, I'm going to nominate you to go on Bake Off now. I have to see you do that.
Well, you know what was weird? We had an email from one of our listeners who was a contestant on Bake Off.
Oh, that's
and the answer they gave was, the only thing I'd ever cook on Bake Off now is humble pie. Oh, I thought that was so sad. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, the biggest pet peeve is honestly negativity.
Yeah.
That I can't do. It's there's so much in this world that we have no control over.
Yeah.
Take control of what we can.
Yeah.
I think that there was a beautiful few lines. My mum gave it to me when I was in my first year at Cambridge, and it's that whole series of lines that goes, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Right? And I think if we stay true to that, we don't go far.
So I'm a fan of Stoic philosophy.
Oh,
Love it, absolutely love it. That changed my life about 5 years ago. It was really insightful.
I'm with you.
Just worry about the stuff can change, and don't worry about anything else, because you just can't have any impact in your life. Now, you've travelled quite a lot, so
Yes.
where in the world haven't you been that's still on your list?
Where in the world haven't I been? Well, actually, I've just come back from Delhi. That was the first time I've been to India.
Oh, is it? All right, okay. I'm going next year.
Wonderful. And I have to say, a place of so much spiritual energy. So I'd love to spend more time in India and really get to meet more people out there, because the people I met over 2.5 days, honestly,
Really
so
good.
soul-stirring, amazing.
Yeah. And last one, what's your favourite thing on Netflix?
I don't have a favourite thing on Netflix.
Oh,
I'm
you
going
don't
to be
watch
really
Netflix?
controversial. No.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
My favourites are the classics, the big cinema from sort of the 50s and the 60s. Sort of bring back Humphrey Bogart.
Fair enough.
And the
Fair enough.
Casablancas any day.
And the last question, maybe the second but last, but we'll give it a go. Let's see how much time we've got. Who's the world's greatest detective?
Oh, I have to say, I do love one of my favourite moments, and I remember is that Columbo.
You know what?
I
Columbo
love him.
was a podcast listener's favourite. We got loads of people telling us
I
Columbo.
love him. I think he was the quiet, unassuming.
Yeah.
But it's that good.
And it was that bit at the end.
Every time.
Just one more thing, just straight back in, and then just.
And what I loved about him, it's that outwitting of the person who was often quite arrogant.
Yeah.
Thought they'd. And he just came in there and that quiet. Yeah, I love that.
It.
Good over evil. Love that.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on the podcast. I've really enjoyed it.
Amazing.
And thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Good. No worries.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks
Cheers.
So that was the last part of the interview with Rebecca. What did you think?
It was good.
Good. Glad you enjoyed it.
'Tis the end!
I think you've just broken my audio recording equipment.
Oh, thanks.
That wasn't a good thing. It is the end, but the end is never the end.
Because the end is always the end.
Because the end, all that sort of stuff.
And all that jazz.
Last week's question of the podcast was also song related. It was, what summer song should I add to my holiday playlist?
Oh yeah, and then I told you I didn't like summer. Yeah, that was it. I remember that.
Yeah, you like winter. Summer's too happy. I like winter, it makes me happy and then sad and then happy again. And can I just say, when I asked about summer songs, what I wasn't expecting is just so much cheese.
I love a good cheese.
Because there is a lot of cheese in this album. It starts off quite funky. So John Simmons at Simo1981 said anything by Tame Impala. Sorry if I've mispronounced that.
Like the car.
Yeah, a bit like the car. But he specifically recommended The Less I Know The Better, and that made it to my holiday playlist. So thank you for that, Mr. Simmons. Jono.
Is that not how you write tame? Does that not say tame Impala?
I don't know how you pronounce it, to be honest, but I had it as...
Wouldn't it make more sense as tame Impala?
Maybe. Keith Boyd said some Paolo Nutini.
Yes.
Sunny Side Up album will see you well, definitely.
I like his song. The one that reminds Mum of. I can't remember what it is now.
These Streets.
Yes, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good song. Charlie Goodman reported in with This Town, which is a reggae song about London. It is amazing. Really good song.
I think I know it.
And Gilster 100, Chris G said...
Mr. Blue Sky.
Mr. Blue Sky, which is an amazing one. And then, so that was from Twitter. So Twitter came up with some good answers.
Twitter was being sensible for us.
Twitter was having some funky tunes that are good tracks to listen on the beach. And then we get to Facebook. Or, as I call it now, home of cheese.
Cheese book.
Lucy Patrick said...
cheese catalogue.
Cheese book. Facebook. The cheese catalogue of music. Lucy Patrick, Club Tropicana.
Of course.
Tamsin Kane, Summertime. Victor Sachs, Cake by the Ocean. Now, you don't like Cake by the Ocean.
Doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Also, it was really big when I was in year 6 and everyone was singing. I was like, what the heck is this song?
Victor Sachs says Summer Madness by Kool and the Gang, where Jazzy Jeff whipped the track up for Summertime. And now we start getting to real cheese.
Real cheesy.
Dawn
Guys are
Kirk
real
said
cheesy.
Madonna Holiday. Roberta White said, hey, I'm going to Barbados. Heidi Ball said, feeling hot, hot, hot. Mandy Metcalf said, Agadoo. Jane Hodges said, Shout by Lulu. Loretta Rutherford said, Footloose. And Amanda Smead said, actually, this is quite a good song. The power of love.
It comes from
It comes from all this cheese.
The most forever
I'd love to be powered by cheese, wouldn't you?
Are you sure wants to write the power
That'd
of
be good.
love?
Yes, because it's the Frankie Goes to Hollywood one, not the
It's a power of
Huey
love.
Lewis and the News
Oh,
one.
I like that one too.
That is a good one. And then we go back to some good songs. David Dennison said Find Me by the Kings of Leon, proper driving song. And Victor Sack said At the River by Groove Armada, which is an amazing song. It goes on, and we go back to Cheeseland. Louise said Ain't Nobody But Chaka Khan. Jeff Goldsmith, We're all going on a
Summer holiday.
and then John Cook, friend of the show, said Russ Abbott All Night Holiday. I was trying to explain to somebody who Russ Abbott was the other day. He was an 80s/90s comedian. Now he's an actor. But yeah. And then we had what else did we have? Alan Cass said Kerry by Joni Mitchell, and Robert Bishop said a couple you might have to search for, but for a relaxing evening overlooking the sea, it has to be Golden Time of Day by Maze, and for cracking up the volume in the car, I Love Music by the OJs. So we have got some really good tracks to add to our playlist.
Does summer music count if I just sit and listen to the Grease soundtrack over and over again?
No. Actually, Greece is the archetype
Oh well,
of
oh
summer.
well, oh well.
I mean, if you think of musicals and summer, Greece encapsulates that.
No, I was thinking Frozen, sure.
I was thinking of Les Miserables. How do you actually pronounce Les Miserables?
Les Miserables.
Les Miserables. I'm gonna stick with Les Miserables. Anyway, that is it, my friends. Come back to us if you've got any more summer tunes that we've missed. Feel free to let us know what your happy song is, and we'll see you next week on the Kindness Project.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye.